Hey guys, I just thought I would make a really quick video. I know I've been MIA for 2 months. My daughter's sleeping in the back here, and I don't really know exactly what I'm going to say here. I just thought I'd come on here and film my thoughts, and I've really had a lot of clarity in the last couple of months. I appreciate all of the ongoing support and this community, and we're all in this together. And I guess one thing I wanted to talk about was I do feel like this whole problem of drug adverse reactions and withdrawal is multifaceted. And again, I've compared this situation to other what I call obscure chronic conditions that don't really have one sort of diagnostic criteria. They don't have a lot of understanding, and they have a lot of similarities. So I've said like long COVID and mast cell activation syndrome, which can be part of withdrawal, chronic Lyme disease, all these kind of different things that are very similar, but in a lot of ways. And I do think that the best approach is multifaceted, multi-pronged, holistic, because I just personally don't believe that it boils down to receptor damage. It maybe receptor sensitivity would be a better way of wording it, because how can someone be in a window for 6 months and then go back into it? Like, does that mean they get re-damaged, or are they resensitized, or is that only part of the picture, or is that actually not it at all? And I just want to share this. So I, over the years, through my own journey, and I've been honest about this. I had COVID in November of 2023. I started developing skin issues and other things that I hadn't had before. And I also am now confirmed perimenopause. And again, a lot of these things overlap. And I'm still susceptible to going into waves if I have severe stress. I think if I took medication, I may or may not. I don't know at this point. I just choose not to take medication if I can avoid it. And so I want to get over that last hump. Like, I live a full life, a fully functioning life, but I still don't want to feel like I'm at the mercy of my nervous system. And so the other day, it was really crappy weather here, and I was really bored. And so I just started going through my old paperwork, and I had OAT testing done in 2022, which is organic acids testing. I had live blood analysis in 2023. Just to look at my health as a whole. And then I had SpectraCell testing in 2021 when I was in the midst of like my worst suffering. And that is essentially like testing vitamins, minerals, and other things that are in the cell at the cellular level rather than at a serum or blood level. And when I looked at them all together, which surprisingly I hadn't really done before, I noticed consistencies, and that was a deficiency in quite a big deficiency in vitamin B2, which I believe is riboflavin, CoQ10, and carnitine. I also showed ammonia toxicity. There were liver malfunctioning, dysfunction signs on these tests, and like fatty liver. I did the neurotransmitter metabolite thing, which is part of OAT testing, and it showed high dopamine. I've shared that before. I don't know if that's like what my status of those things would be now, because I had them done a few years ago. But it's just interesting because I haven't taken steps individually to replenish those things, those vitamin B2, CoQ10, carnitine. I was borderline deficient in a lot of other things. Specifically B vitamins, which most people know are indicated in nervous system problems. And interestingly enough, when I really pulled apart all of the things that were very noticeable and were in a sort of alarming category in these tests, it comes back to like neurological dysfunction. So if you look up Parkinsonism, which is, tremors and vibrations and a lot of the things that people in protracted withdrawal have. Vitamin B2 is a very common deficiency in Parkinsonism, as well as like CoQ10 can have implications on the nervous system. A lot of these different things. And so I do believe that you have to look at everything as a whole. I'm not saying that if you're in the early stages, you should go and spend thousands of dollars on tests and supplements. I don't believe taking one supplement is going to cure you. But and I think it is smart personally in the first year or even 2 years, just kind of let your body be. You've already been, a lot of people have been throwing all kinds of meds at it for years, not knowing what the problem was, this polydrugging, kindling, all of the jargon, that's been happening. And so I do think your body is in a crisis state, and so I don't think it's necessary or really helpful to go and get all these tests done and try to correct all these deficiencies. But if you're protracted, or you're you feel functional and you're doing well, but you are still kind of feel at the mercy of your nervous system, like, I don't want to tip it over the edge again, these might be tests you want to explore. I do think, again, in all of the research I've done into long COVID and all of those conditions I listed earlier, as much as, vitamin and mineral deficiencies and a sluggish liver and gut problems might be part of it, I do still think that limbic system impairment is a huge part of it, because if you have seen people who have recovered using, like, in all of these different conditions, I've joined the Facebook groups, I've done so much research, I've been on Reddit, I've, I guess, patient experiences, and the people who have recovered, they say basically you can't without addressing limbic system impairment. And this is where things like DNRS, Gupta, primal trust, all of the things that address that limbic dysfunction, whether you call it that or central sensitization syndrome or a maladaptive stress response, HPA axis dysfunction, whatever you want to call it, I think they're all similar. You have a system that's stuck in fight or flight perpetually, chronically, and different things can get you to that point. And I think most of us can agree that if you're in withdrawal or protracted withdrawal, that's certainly part of the problem. So I just wanted to say that if you are, it's something that I'm exploring right now to just, I have other chronic health problems I've shared before. I have 2 autoimmune diseases. I have other things that were going on long before I ever took psychiatric drugs. And again, there's a lot of overlap in all of these things: chronic inflammation, gut problems, liver problems. I do think that it all contributes. And my own personal view is that makes more sense to me than just one single, like, up and down regulation of receptors thing. It's like a bucket, because I've seen too where people, the more I talk to people, the more, they'll share a lot of their history even before psych drugs. This could be taking illicit drugs, it could be drinking a lot, it could be getting Botox, it could be getting lots of vaccinations, it could be chronic stress, toxic relationship. I don't know. I think it's a whole host of things, and then the drug is just the final straw. Because again, I talked to so many people, and my own experience was that I had a great time on citalopram when I first started taking it. I just sung its praises. I thought it was just wonderful. And other people too, were steady and stable and happy on SSRIs. Not everybody, but just for this situation I'm talking about now. And then they go off the drug, they go back on, they're fine. They go back off, they're fine. And then it just takes one pill. It could be the second time they try to go back on, the third time, the fourth time, or it could be the first time, and they just take one dose and it's like their system implodes. To me, a healthy body, everything working well, wouldn't have that reaction. There's got to be other things priming it. That's my own personal opinion. I don't know all of the things that go into that. I think stressors on the body is a big part, and I'm not just talking about emotional stress. It could be chemical stressors, it could be psychological and emotional stress, it could be toxic burden, I don't know. So I think undoing it is, a combination of time and working on limbic system dysfunction. That could be formally through a program. It could just be doing stress reduction activities, and depending on your personality, it could be more introverted spiritual activities. It could be reintegrating yourself socially into positive experiences, and working on your nutritional status and addressing different health problems that maybe you had before, maybe you didn't, or maybe you did have but you were unaware of. I do think that a lot of this, it all goes together in my opinion. And so again, I do think that time is definitely on your side for the first, I would say 2 years. It's always on your side, but I would say the first 2 years, it's more critical to kind of leave things alone. And then afterwards, if you're still susceptible to windows and waves, if you're like, how do I just get rid of this for good? I think it's worth exploring some of those other things. If you have questions about some of the tests that I've had done, feel free to comment. I'm gonna try to respond to all the comments on this video. I'm not gonna be posting as many videos, so I'll try to be more mindful of getting to the comments, and let me know your experience there. I've seen a lot of recovery stories where people are very protracted and then they go down this road of replenishing their vitamins and minerals, healing their gut, healing their liver, doing brain retraining. Again, this is not blanket across the board. I'm just saying these are patterns, these are generalizations that I've seen. I've been in this space for 6.5 years, and recently I was diving into some of the old success stories that I had read years ago and just reading them in detail again with all of the, I guess, people I've talked to since the last time I read them. And it was interesting to see that there were definitely people who addressed these known deficiencies and these, you know, chronic inflammation, and they had like live blood analysis which showed parasites, which showed mold, and then they ended up addressing those things and it took them to the end of recovery. And so again, my own experience, I'm fully functional. I could totally go through the rest of my life the way I am now and it would be okay, but I'm like striving for optimal rather than still being kind of at the mercy of those things. And so I'm exploring those. So again, when I amalgamated all these tests I've had done, I'm like, this is interesting. I'm not diving into, you know, taking all these supplements and just throwing all these, because I did that before and it didn't work. So I'm trying to address it holistically and in as, I guess, nutritionally of a way as possible. So maybe potentially starting with desiccated beef liver, because that has all the known B vitamins, as far as I know and as far as I've explored. It's one of the best sources of B vitamins without trying to just go and purchase, you know, B2 supplements. And I'm still like dealing with trust issues when it comes to not only the medical community but even the supplement industry. Sometimes I'm like, who actually owns this, you know, mother company, and do they have our health in their best interest, and is this pure, and is it full of fillers, and am I going to react to that? So again, trying to find the purest way to address these things and just exploring that nutritionally, and wondering if that maybe has contributed to my other health problems that I had prior to withdrawal. Because again, I do think it's like a bucket thing where you fill, it's filling and filling and filling, and something spills it over the edge. That could be one pill of your first psych drug, it could be coming off your first psych drug, it could be a lot of times people will say it was the reinstatements that really made things horrific for them. That was certainly the case for me, and it doesn't make a lot of sense when someone did well on a drug for years and then comes off it and tries to go back on. If it was just withdrawal, why doesn't that make it better? Why does it make it infinitely worse? Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So yeah, just something I thought I would just share my thoughts on, and let me know your own experiences there. And I'm not saying that's right for everybody, but you know, I think too, when people are in this, they will just research nervous system dysfunction, nervous system disorders, even withdrawal itself, and be like, oh, I hear vitamin B12 is good for the nervous system, I'm just going to start taking that. They have a negative reaction and then kind of throw it out. And I think getting a really good picture, and if you can get proper testing done and seeing what you're actually deficient in and working on that, obviously is probably a better, more targeted approach than just throwing stuff at your system because you heard it's good for calming or stress relief or whatever. So just my thoughts. Yeah, my daughter's awake now, clearly, so I'm gonna let you guys go. Let me know how you're doing in the comments, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.